But what are some self-awareness questions to ask clients to help them identify blind spots?
Wow, that's an amazing question. Well, I think the coaching process itself identifies blind spots. It identifies areas where people think one thing, but then are they really following through on this or not? I don't know if they're I don't know if how useful it is to try to ask a question that identifies a blind spot. Yeah, I don't know. I think the process itself does it. It's similar sometimes. I think when people ask questions in the training, like how should I sit or what should my body language be when when I'm in a coaching session, and my response has always been, uh, aside from the obvious, don't don't look complete, don't turn your back on them or, you know, uh, cross your arms or put your hand in your, close, put your hand over your eyes or whatever, just something completely egregious. Then if someone is really listening level two, someone's listening from an empathetic standpoint and asking curious questions that help clients break new ground and new insights, then I think that you can trust that the the insights or blind spots that need to be assessed or seen will be assessed or seen, and the insights will create and bring awareness themselves. You can trust it. You can trust the process. You can trust the insights. I don't think you need to actively try to uncover, unawareness. I feel like that can get really into coaching the problem. That could easily slip into coaching the problem. Similar to thinking, okay, like I need to sit a certain way and be a certain way when I'm listening level two. I feel like that takes away from listening empathetically. If you're thinking, how do I, like, what does my body language need to be so I can listen to this person well? You're not really listening. Just listen. Just be curious and trust that the insights needed will come. Now, if you think that there is a client that they are not seeing, like you're seeing something that they are not, that's when I feel like that direct communication needs to come into play, what you're talking about. And you say, look, you need to look at this. Like my coach, he did that to me, was it 2 sessions ago now? He said, nope, stopping this. You need to look at this. And this is the perspective. And I appreciated it. Okay, I let me take that in for a minute. So I think that's how I would do it. Yeah. Yeah, that feels right. What about you, Raj?
Thanks, John. Yes, trusting the process, being curious. Um, for me, with new clients clients who are new to coaching, not necessarily new clients for me, um, I think using some of the tools initially, if they haven't done the work on themselves and not used to being asked these kinds of questions, and maybe they're keeping it surface level because you don't know what you don't know. I think some of my favorites have been, and I know there were a real mindset shift for me when I went through the program, things like beliefs, perspectives, assumptions. Assumptions is always a great one. If you're working with someone and it's kind of they're looking at themselves or they're looking at blame is all outside of them, and they might be telling themselves a story or making assumptions. So I think people are new to coaching. Some of the tools that we learn in coach training edu I think are really great to help people get used to thinking in a different way when the coach asks them questions followed from the tools.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's hard to assess too how much new clients are getting from the coaching process because from people who have been in coach training, I think there's an awareness of like so many tools. You can see the insights go so deep and are so rich. that sometimes when people are new to coaching, the insights might seem shallow, or it might seem like, oh, this session was surface level. But for them, they've never even had a conversation where someone's listened to them empathetically for longer than a minute or two. So 30 minutes or 50 minutes of empathetic listening might be a really big deal. So it's hard to tell when you're a beginning coach how much value the other person on the other side the other side of the call is getting. What you want to avoid, and what took me a while to learn to avoid, is you want to avoid trying to think of, okay, so how did this session provide value for you? Let me prove that this session was useful and provides value for you. I mean, I even know coaches who are extremely well accomplished who will still ask that question, but they're asking the question not for their sake, they're asking the question for my sake. And that is the key distinction. So if you're going to ask the question, ask it so that the client themselves can reiterate it. If you find yourself, and I did this for a while, reiterating, oh, this session is valuable because you made this decision, or this is the insight that I see you having, avoid that. 100% avoid. Not even necessary, not even useful. Takes away from everything. I was even in a sample training, I was running one of these sample training classes, and there was someone I was coaching, and the coaching just seemed so surface, like not even anything. Like she just was going for, just talking about her, almost talking about her day or week. But then I could feel her getting so much value from it because she just never had a chance. I knew it. I could feel it. She never had a chance to explain it the way that she was explaining it in front of a group of people or being listened to empathetically in this way. And you could almost feel the other participants, who are new to coaching, like wondering what's happening. Like, is this? It's subtle, but you could feel, is this? What's happening? Like, what's going on here? And then after the session, she broke it down. She said, look, I've never been able to put this together in this way because I just had space to process. I was able to say it in these ways and basically have the processing space to get this clarity to move on to other things. Because human beings, we process so much stuff without being able to say it out loud, without just like, it's almost like this, our processors are overloaded with info, which is a relatively new phenomenon. You think 100 years ago, there was no internet, there was no ubiquity of knowledge. So our processors had very few things to process. Human beings are not meant to process the number of stimuli that are happening in our systems. We're just not. And so now the premium is space. The premium is listening. And this is precisely what coaching offers. So the whole idea of value delivery that we as a civilization have had for millennia is now turned on its head, because what was once the exquisite, rarest stuff, accuracy of knowledge, is now 0.00067 seconds away from a Google search. It's the inner knowledge that's the premium, the value, the inner awareness, and you deliver that through listening. Listening is enough.
Listening is enough. So I know we're on time, but what I'm kind of taking away from this is that everyone is on their own journey, and we meet people where they're at, and wherever they're at is right for them. So I guess we have to release our own, as coaches, our own judgments and assumptions and expectations of what we think value add is, or where somebody else should be in their journey.
Yep.